Apex Legends has had 15 limited time modes over the course of its 14-month run, and since we're in a little bit of a content drought in between Season 4 and Season 5, since that is going to be in 2 weeks, I figured now is a really good time to look back on all of the events that we've gotten and put them in an order. So I'm going to be going through 8 of them, because if I were going through all 15, it would kind of just be, here's the Grand Soiree events, and then here's like a couple other ones. So I wanted to pick my personal favorite 8. Well, let me know down in the comments if you agree with the ones that I'm going to be talking about or not, and what your favorite limited time mode is if you didn't get a chance to respond to the text post yesterday. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to drop a like and even consider subscribing on your way out, as that does help the video and channel a whole lot. That's long enough for an intro, so let's get right into these. At number 8, let's talk about the third person mode, which came during the Grand Soiree event. It created a new way to play the game and really gave a different perspective. Personally, it allowed me to really see where my character was in the map, if that makes sense, as far as like my size compared with doors and fences and caustic traps and all that stuff, which I found really interesting. Now, it was fairly buggy, obviously, since this is a first-person game and it's not intended to be played in third person, well, which is why it falls so low on this list. However, I would like to see it come back into rotation, maybe once they have fixed the aiming a little bit and some of the ADS animations. At number 7, let's cover the Armed and Dangerous limited time mode, which came during the Voidwalker event. Now, while this event didn't really change that much about the game, it was still a 3-person squad on the same map in Apex. It did offer players an opportunity to load into a match that only had white shields and sniper rifles and shotguns. Now, this event was fun for a little bit, and then it got a little bit frustrating, feeling like you were constantly being one-shot by everything. The reason that this limited time mode is on the list is because it was one of the first limited time modes in the game and seems to be a fan favorite. People have really great nostalgia for it, but in my opinion, it barely changed gameplay, and the way that it did change it was a little bit frustrating, which is why it's so high up on this list. At number 6, we have the Dummies Big Day from Grand Soiree. This is one of my personal favorite limited time modes because of how unique it was. It gave new abilities to everybody. I remember the first couple times that I was playing, every time I do my ultimate and something different happened, it was really cool to try to figure out what it did and why it did it, and if there's a way to trigger certain abilities or ultimates. I actually did a video on that, and I'm a little bit biased towards this because that was my first video that ever exploded, and was really the video that put my channel on the map for content creation, so you can check that out either in the top right hand corner or at the end of this video. However, the reason that it's in 6th is because it got really boring, and also something about the game that I think makes it unique in the battle royale genre is character voice lines and character personalities, and all of that was missing, which is why it is in 6th. Number 5, we have the Gold Rush from Grand Soiree. When I loaded into this game mode for the first time, I was like a kid in a candy shop, with Krabers and Mastiffs everywhere. It even gave players some practice with the L-Star before it became a map weapon and not a crate weapon. So I just think that this limited time mode in just about every aspect was so fun, and I really wish they would do something like it again. The reason that I have it in 5th is just because the other ones are all so much better than it, but it is a limited time mode that I would really enjoy seeing come back. At number 4, we have Solos, which is from the Iron Crown event. We have never seen Solos since then, unfortunately, whether in a limited time mode or in map rotation. It was just such a great opportunity for players to go 1v1 against other players. As I said, we've never had that ability since then, and I would really like to see it come back as a limited time mode, even if it was just for a weekend or something, just so that all of the players who didn't get to experience that can have that experience. I think that it's a really important limited time mode to bring back because it shows people that they don't really want solos, because at least from my experience, it was just a lot of people teaming up and a whole lot of really sweaty Wraith players who were just phasing around and killing everyone, and the other half was Caustics who were just running around trapping people in their gas. It was kind of a nightmare, if I'm being honest with you. At number 3, we have the Fight or Fright Shadowfall event. This is potentially the most unique limited time mode that they've had in the game so far. If you weren't around during the time when it came out, essentially everybody would drop as solos into nighttime King's Canyon, and then as they killed each other, the players who died would be rebirthed as Revenant Shadowfall zombie people. They would kill other players in the match until everybody except 10 players were zombies. The remaining 10 players would then all be put on one team and would have to go to a rendezvous where they would be picked up by a dropship. The first couple days that this was out was some of the most fun and some of the most terrifying experiences that I've had in Apex Legends, which is why it's so high on this list. However, the reason it isn't higher is because the fan base absolutely ruined this event. By the end of the second day, everybody would quit immediately as soon as they died, because there were skins and badges as rewards for completing certain events, and one of them was that you had to survive in the dropship 10 times or 25 or 50 or something like that. And it was really difficult to do that, so people would just quit the second that they died, and it absolutely ruined the limited time mode. So if you were one of those people, I don't like you. At number 2, we have the Winter Express limited time mode, which came from the Holiday Bash. This is actually the most fun that I've had playing Apex, and 100% the most fun that I've had from a limited time mode. If you're unaware, what happened during this limited time mode is that you and a squad of 2 other people would all be able to pick characters who had loadouts which would change every day. Then you had to land either on or near the train, which would stop at 3 different locations on the map, and you had to capture the train. There were some crazy moments that came out of this limited time mode, but I think the most important thing that came out of it is that we now know that the devs are okay with doing limited time modes where we have specific loadouts. Not only was this limited time mode super fun, but hopefully as a result of it and the positive feedback that came with it, we will be getting more limited time modes just like it. Before we get to number 1 though, I do just want to list off some honorable mentions. Deja Loot did not make this list. The reason that I didn't put Deja Loot on here is because I feel like we didn't really get anything out of it, if you know what I mean. I feel like with a lot of the other limited time modes that are on this list, it's either helping the devs know what we want as far as gameplay in the future, or they're just really fun, and I thought Deja Loot was a good game mode, but it was more intended for sweatier players, I guess, people who are more interested in winning than just having fun in the game. And so it's definitely not one of my favorite limited time modes, even though I personally enjoyed it. And another one that I would just want to briefly touch on is the Elite Queue. Now, the Apex Legends wiki classifies this as a limited time mode. I'm not entirely sure if I would classify it as that, but this really paved the way for the ranked system. I think initially they were a little bit skeptical on how they wanted to do ranked, and so it seems like the devs really learned a lot from the Elite Queue limited time mode, if you consider it that, which is why it is an honorable mention, but is not one that I would put on this list. And finally, at number 1, we have Always Closing, which is from the Grand Soiree event as well. Always Closing is one of the most perfect limited time modes I've played in a video game. It's by far the best limited time mode that we have ever had in Apex Legends. It made games shorter, it made them more intense, there was more adrenaline and more pressure, you had to be more aware of your surroundings. It was like Apex but hyped up times 100. I played probably over 100 games of Always Closing in the 2 days that it was out, and if I had known that it wouldn't be coming back, I would have played it so many more times. I really truly hope that we see this again in the future. since it's one of the most enjoyable experiences I've had in this game. Just a quick recount if you don't know what it is. Essentially, it was just, you had, I think, 3 minutes from when you landed, and then the circle would immediately start closing, and it would not stop until the game ended. It created some truly chaotic situations that were so much fun to be a part of. I don't think I won many times during it, but it didn't matter because it was so much fun. So that is my list of the 8 best and most awesome limited time modes in Apex Legends, as well as 2 honorable mentions. Let me know down in the comments below which ones are your favorites. Do you agree with the list? Did I miss any that should have been on here and weren't? I'll be back with you guys again tomorrow, but until then, take it easy.